Hey everybody, we're here today at Carolina Bully Farms, and we're going to give y'all a little bit of a lesson on how we plan our breedings, how much we put into them, and how you get litters consistent and just dogs consistent all the way around as bully and extreme and clean as ours are here. People can get one dog to look good, two maybe out of a litter, but when you're consistently producing dogs out of every litter in your whole yard is exactly what you're looking for. Every time you get, a puppy, a breeding, it comes out like this. Pretty much then, you know what's going on and you know what you're talking about. So we're going to show y'all today how we plan our breedings, what we do, and what we've learned works. So I'll throw it to Dad over here so he can talk about what his thoughts are on it.
Well, what we do is, so many people just, they think they can take just any female and take it to a good-looking male, and they're going to get great-looking pups, and they're not. Usually they're going to have a few takes after that great-looking male, but still not completely. They're going to lessen the overall pup, because instead of taking an awesome dog and mixing it with another awesome dog, you're mixing it with I'll call it a non-awesome dog, for lack of a better word, so you're weakening it. You're making a less... you're hurting the breed.
You're weakening the gene pool.
Yeah, you're weakening the gene pool.
Diluting it.
Cody knows the good words. That's exactly what I was trying to say. What you have to do is you got to take that awesome male and search its pedigree. And then you got to go to a female that looks just as awesome as the male does. And then you're 50% there. When you find that female and that male, you love them. And you get so many other variables come into play. Maybe the female's a little taller, and the male's the perfect height. Well, then you're going to get a mixture of that. You want to find, when I say perfect, I mean in height, build, everything. You want to take a male that's the perfect height, and don't take it to a female that's a little taller and say he'll shorten it up, because he is. But she's also going to
talling him up. I mean, you got to look at it both ways.
They're going to tall his side.
People always look at it like they're going to take all the good and none of the bad. Well, if you take Sweetie to a pit bull, yes, the pit bull's going to look more like Sweetie, but the downside is Sweetie's going to look more like the regular pit bull.
Yeah, she's going to shorten them up, but the pit bull is going to tall her side of it. You want to take the perfect height. You want to get, like, for example, we took her to Big Country. We're tickled to death with the height of Big Country. We're tickled to death with her height. We're not looking to shorten anything up. We're looking to get exactly what, if we can get exactly what we got, a mixture of her and Big Country. And how we do that is it ain't just because Big Country looks like what we like and she looks like what we like. Like I say, when you find that, when they're the perfect height, perfect look, perfect build, the male and the female, then you're halfway there. Then you got to look at the pedigree, and you take the blood. Go to the male side and take his mom and daddy, and go to the female side, take her mom and daddy, and you see if those two bloods have ever been crossed before, either on the females or the males, and what did they produce. Then you take
how do they look?
And how do they look? And then you take the male off of the mom and see if she's ever been crossed with the blood with the male or female off of the dad. You got to keep crossing it back and forth. You want to go back at least 3 generations and see if that blood has been crossed and what it produced. And if it had been crossed and it produced great stuff, then you're probably going to get something that looks great. However, if it hadn't ever been crossed at all, then you got to go find something that has been crossed that has the same blood. You've got to go out and search and find a dog that has both pedigrees in it and see how it looks. And that's where it gets risky, though. If you can't find where it's ever been done, that blood's ever been bred.
You got to make sure all the dogs in that pedigree have that look. Because you can't say, oh, well, you're just copying everything that's been done before. If you're going to do something innovative and do something that's not been done before, then you have to look at pure looks of all the dogs in the pedigree. But you got to go back further. You got to make sure all the dogs in the pedigree have that look that you're wanting. If they don't, then there's a chance that any of the dogs in that pedigree could come out in the puppies.
Yeah, you could go back and say you're happy with the male and the female, you're happy with their mom and daddy, but the grandparents, you don't like the granddad. Well, there's a good chance the gene that's in that granddad may come, it may show in the puppies. You may get a whole litter that took after that granddad. So it's easier for us now because we've got our females we produce. We know how her blood's going with Big Country because they both have the same blood in them, Mo Money and Misfit. And for Big Country, we got Code Line blood added in, which we know what that's going to do. It's only going to make it better. And because, how we know what Code Line blood is going to do? Because Code Line blood has a lot of
Romeo blood.
Romeo blood, and we've took Romeo blood to Mo Money. Again, we've checked. We know what the blood will do. But if you don't, and when we first started, we didn't. Like when we first was planning Mo Money's breeding, and we bought Miss Bouncy to go to Mo Money. When we bought Misfit to go to Mo Money, we didn't know what that blood would do. Nobody had crossed that blood before. So we didn't just go buy the dogs, then check before we ever bought them. We knew what we were looking for. And once we got Misfit, we looked back, even though her blood was what we wanted, and Bouncy's blood was exactly what we wanted, we went back to Bouncy's mom and dad. Did they have what we wanted? We went back to their mom and dad. Did they have what we wanted? And we made sure that that would work with Money's blood, and then we made it happen. And not just will it work, maybe it created awesome bullies, but they had terrible
flaws
or
tails
or kinked tails. And if they did, then you got to know there's a good chance that's going to happen again. That's all I'm saying is a lot of work goes into it. And if you want to consistently produce these dogs, you say, I just don't understand how every litter comes out looking exactly like you want it to. Well, that's how it takes many, many, many late nights.
And when we go to buy a puppy, wasabi, sushi, you know, we put a lot of time into picking them. People go spend so much money on buying a puppy, and we did it to begin with, and that's why we learned painstaking, expensive lessons. We make sure when we buy our pups, we know what they're going to look like by doing that same research. Just because the pup's already here don't mean you can't research it. That's why we got our right exotics right off the bat, because we researched it. We researched to make sure it's going to be clean, and we researched to make sure it's still going to have that exotic look. So just keep this stuff in mind next time you're going to buy a puppy, and know that if you want it done right, you can always come here to Carolina Bully Farms, and we're going to do the hard work for you. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember to like, favorite, and subscribe for more updates, and God bless.